You know, think about it. We cooperate all the time. Holding a door for someone, trusting a coworker on a big project, you name it. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? From a purely logical, self-interested point of view, it's kind of puzzling. Why cooperate when you could just look out for number one and maybe get ahead?
So, that's the big question, right? Why do we do it? It seems like a simple question, but it's a genuine paradox. And to really get to the bottom of it, we're not going to talk about philosophy or just, being nice. We're going to use the powerful tools of game theory to show how cooperation isn't just nice, it's strategically brilliant.
And hey, don't worry, this isn't going to be some dry academic lecture. Think of game theory as a secret map for human interaction. It helps us see the hidden logic, all the risks and rewards that guide the choices we all make every single day, whether we're closing a business deal or just figuring out who's going to take out the trash. Okay, so here's the absolute game changer, the one thing that changes everything. Most of our life isn't a one-shot deal. You don't just meet someone once and then disappear forever. No, you see your colleagues tomorrow, you run into your neighbors next week, and you see your family for years and years. We are all playing the long game, and that simple fact, well, that's the key to this whole puzzle.
Now, to really appreciate why cooperation can be so tricky, we have to start with the most famous setup in all of game theory, the prisoner's dilemma. And as you're about to see, when you just look at a single interaction, it feels like a trap that makes cooperation seem totally irrational.
The basic idea is pretty simple. You have two people, and they can either choose to cooperate with each other or to defect, basically to cheat or betray the other. And here's the crazy part. If both people make what seems to be the smartest, most rational choice for themselves, they both end up worse off than if they had just trusted each other in the first place. Okay, let's break this down. It looks a little complex, but the logic is crystal clear once you see it. Put yourself in player blue's shoes. If green cooperates, what's your best move? Well, you can cooperate and get 2 points, or you can defect and get 3. 3 is better than 2, so you defect. Now what if green defects? Well, you can cooperate and get 0 points, or you can defect and get 1 point. 1 is better than 0, so you defect again. No matter what green does, your best move is always to defect, and the exact same logic works for player green.
So what happens? Both players, being perfectly rational, defect, and they both land in that bottom right square, each getting a measly 1 point. But wait a second. Look up at that top left square. If they had just trusted each other and cooperated, they could have both gotten 2 points. They get stuck in a bad outcome because of their own self-interest. That's the trap. That's the dilemma.
But, and this is a huge but, what if this wasn't a one-and-done deal? What if you knew you had to play this exact same game with this exact same person tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that? Ah, this is where the magic happens. This is the escape hatch from that trap. This right here, this idea is everything. The simple fact that there's going to be a next time introduces an incredibly powerful new force into the game. Consequences. That sweet 3-point payoff you could get by cheating today, it suddenly doesn't look so great when you realize the other player can punish you for it tomorrow, and the next day, and forever. The future starts to cast a very, very long shadow on what you choose to do right now.
So, how does this shadow of the future actually work? Well, it allows us to adopt strategies. You can think of them as personal rules of engagement. These strategies make the threat of punishment totally believable, and that transforms cooperation from a naive hope into a stable, intelligent choice.
Let's start with one of the most famous and honestly most brutal strategies out there. It's called the Grim Trigger, and the name is perfect. The strategy itself is super simple, but it is absolutely ruthless.
The rules are dead simple. You start out nice, you cooperate on the first move, and you keep cooperating as long as they do. But, and here's the grim part, the moment they defect, even once, that's it. You pull the trigger. You will punish them by defecting forever. No second chances, no forgiveness. It's an incredibly powerful threat because it's so permanent.
Okay, so if Grim Trigger is the nuclear option, there's a less severe but still incredibly effective strategy called tit for tat. The rule here is even simpler. You start by cooperating, and after that, you just copy whatever the other player did on their last move. They cooperate, you cooperate back. They defect, you defect right back at them. It's like a perfect mirror. It's nice, it's retaliatory, but it's also forgiving. The second they go back to cooperating, you do too. So we've got these really cool strategies, but for any of them to work, for the threat of punishment to actually have any teeth, there is one absolutely non-negotiable ingredient. Players have to care about the future.
I mean, if you don't care about what happens tomorrow, then there's absolutely no reason not to just grab what you can today.
Of course, game theorists have a name for this. It's called the discount factor, or delta. But really, you can just think of it as a patience meter. If your delta is close to 1, you're super patient. A reward tomorrow is almost as good as a reward today. If it's close to 0, you're all about instant gratification. And this one little number, it turns out to be the key to everything.
So, let's make this real. Imagine you're up against a grim trigger player. You're at a crossroads. On one path, you can cooperate forever and get a nice, steady stream of 2 points every single round. On the other path, you can cheat right now. You get that awesome payoff of 3 points, but you know that from then on, you'll be punished and only get 1 point forever. So, which stream of payoffs is actually better?
And believe it or not, the answer comes down to this super simple bit of math. As long as your discount factor, your patience level, is at least 1/2, cooperation is the smarter play. Why? Because that 1 extra point you get from cheating today is quickly, and I mean quickly, wiped out by the endless stream of points you lose from then on. If the future matters to you even a little bit, the long-term math says stick with cooperation.
And this, right here, is the grand reveal, the big aha moment of this whole thing. When players are patient enough, when that shadow of the future is long enough, the entire game gets flipped on its head. That terrible, unavoidable trap from the beginning, it just dissolves, and a whole new world of possibilities opens up.
All of a sudden, cooperation is no longer just a nice idea. It becomes a stable, rational, self-enforcing result. That credible threat of future punishment acts like an invisible force, keeping everyone on the cooperative path. It lets players escape that dismal 1-1 trap and achieve way better outcomes together. This powerful idea, by the way, is what game theorists call the folk theorem.
So let's bring it all home. The big takeaway is this: the reason we see so much cooperation in the real world isn't just because people are good. It's because most of our important relationships are long-term. The simple expectation that we'll have to deal with each other again tomorrow fundamentally changes the math. It turns selfish calculation into a powerful engine for working together. Being cooperative isn't just nice, it's incredibly smart.
So, I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. Think about your own life, your job, your friendships, your family. Where does that shadow of the future pop up? How does knowing you'll see these people again tomorrow and the next day shape how you act today? Once you start looking for it, I guarantee you'll see it everywhere, quietly pushing us all to be a little more cooperative.